Hello, everyone, and welcome to the first of a series of AgroVantage system conference calls focusing on the various aspects of the AgroVantage system. As today is National Ag Day and this is National Ag Week, I feel it's very fitting that we are starting our series of conference calls today. And we'll be focusing on the philosophy of the AgroVantage system and the 4 R's of fertilizer. So we've got a tremendous opportunity, tremendous friends in the farming industry that we need to support, that we need to encourage, and that's what we're about here at Conklin. We want to make certain that we are encouraging those individuals, that we are encouraging everyone to support them, and with our philosophy on the AgroVantage system, we do want to support the American farmer and their operations so that they can be more profitable and that they can be as efficient not only with their agricultural inputs, but with their input dollars as well. Hello, I'm Dan Willgohs, AgroVantage Marketing Manager, and it's my pleasure to be on the call discussing the AgroVantage system and the 4 R's of fertilizer today. And joining me on the call is Isaiah Akers, the AgroVantage Product Specialist. Welcome, Isaiah.
Hey, Dan. Good to be on the call tonight.
All right, great. It's great to have you on the call. One of the things I'd like to share, I know everybody's aware of all the issues and challenges and the word going on regarding the social distancing and what we need to be doing to protect ourselves from COVID-19 and coronavirus. And I just want to make certain and make certain that everybody's aware that we at Conklin are taking that seriously. So that's something that we're practicing at Conklin, and we want to make certain that we are going to be here for supporting everybody's product needs and their shipments, their orders, and their Conklin businesses as well. And one thing I would like to do initially is just share a little bit of some information, as it is National Ag Day and National Ag Week, that I just wanted to share some information about some facts that I found yesterday as we were doing some looking. So we've got 2 million farms that dot the rural landscape, and about 98% of the U.S. farms are operated by families, individuals, partnerships, or family corporations. And this is information from America's Diverse Family Farms, the 2018 edition. And just want to congratulate all the growers, all the farmers that are listening in and throughout the country, because each U.S. farm feeds 166 people annually in the U.S. and abroad. And with the global population expecting to increase by 2.2 billion by 2050, which means the world's farmers will have to grow about 70% more food than is now produced today. So there's still a tremendous opportunity in agriculture, and we owe the farmers, the growers, a debt of gratitude for their efforts in everything that they put forth. And so about 11% of U.S. farmers are serving or have served in the military. Cattle and calves, corn, and soybeans are the top 3 U.S. farm products. 87% of U.S. ag products sold are produced on family farms or ranches, and farming accounts for about 1% of U.S. gross domestic product. One of the other things that I did want to point out is in 2018, $139.6 billion worth of American agricultural products were exported around the world. The United States sells more food and fiber to the world markets than we import, creating a positive agricultural trade balance. I don't want to leave out the dairy industry. 1 day's production for a high-producing dairy cow will yield 4.8 pounds of butter, or 8.7 gallons of ice cream, or 10.5 pounds of cheese. So there's tremendous opportunities, and tremendous thanks needs to go to the dairy producers, and through careful stewardship by America's food producers has spurred a 34% decline in erosion of cropland by wind and water since 1982. So we know that the American farmer is very diligent with their stewardship of their land and such. And thank you for allowing me that opportunity to digress a little bit, but I did want to say thank you to all of our growers and farmers for that. For our call today, we do want to focus in on the philosophy of the AgroVantage system. The AgroVantage system logo and trademark was first used in 1990, and we're proud to be celebrating 30 years of the AgroVantage system logo this year. And when we look back on the AgroVantage system, it was created from the aspect of creating products and ideas for the agricultural products that are more efficient and effective ways that are soft technology, near neutral pH products created from the highest quality virgin raw materials to avoid inclusions of heavy metals and other challenges and other aspects that may be found and are typically found in lower quality fertilizers and cheaper, less expensive fertilizers. And the decisions that Conklin has made has resulted in the highest quality finished products that are consistent from one batch to the next, consistent from one load to the next. And all this means that farmers and growers receive consistent products that perform the same year in and year out and provide great value and excellent first-year return on investment. And that's been the thought process behind Conklin's agricultural products since WEX was first introduced in 1972. And our goal still remains to make the highest quality inputs that provide growers with the best options for selecting inputs for consistent results with significant return on investment, and helping growers to lower their cost per bushel of grain produced. Isaiah, what are you seeing and hearing from growers in regard to this philosophy and what growers and distributors are seeing and utilizing of the philosophy behind the AgroVantage system?
Sure. Thanks, Dan. Well, I think it's important to remember that it really is the AgroVantage system, and we really have to look at it using a whole system approach. It's not just starter fertilizer. It's not just seed treatments. It's not just foliar fertilizer, but it's a combination of all these things happening at the right time and at the right ways to do it to make it the most efficient. So, I mean, we've heard from growers all over. It's not necessarily, and I know you said this, it's not necessarily about decreasing your cost per acre, but more so decreasing your cost per bushel, because we're not just wanting to cut costs there. We're not just wanting to get down to the bare bones necessities, what it takes to produce the least possible yield. It's all about building up that yield, getting to record yields on that farm and in that county, but at the same time making sure that you're being efficient with your inputs. And with regards to things like nitrogen, you're not just throwing it out there. You're not just saying, I'm going to put out a pound of nitrogen per bushel, but rather I'm going to make more efficient use out of my nitrogen by using products like nitrogen stabilizers. I'm going to make sure that the P and K that I put out in the field is going to be efficiently utilized. So we're looking at things like liquid starter fertilizers, like our Feast 989 through 1818, rather than a dry broadcast in the spring or fall. So it's going to be a lot more efficient. It's all about uptake. It's about efficiency and lowering that cost per bushel. So, I mean, we've got guys that are looking at the products that are Beck's PFR proven and looking at those two to get those first started into their systems. And products like WEX, Amplify D, those are really the products that guys like to start out with and build those yields off of.
Sure. And so are you hearing this from both long-term customers and growers that are new to the AgroVantage system as well?
Absolutely. I mean, there's a wide range of growers that are using the AgroVantage system. I mean, my first thought is to, guys all the way like Jerry Cox that have got 25 times NCGA wins. You've been using our products for, 12 years now with very good results. And I talked to guys traveling around this fall and this winter that have only been using Conklin for 1 or 2 years, but have already seen the way it's really turned around their farming operation. They're making more efficient use out of their inputs, and they've identified their limiting factor on their farm, which is very important. A lot of farmers don't know what is limiting on their acres. A lot of guys that are new to the system that I've talked to, they didn't know the importance of micronutrients. They didn't know that, boron, although it's taken up in a lot lower quantities, can decrease yields by, 10, 15% if it's not addressed. And those are the guys that are really seeing the most out of the system, once they're really changing their ways and going into the Conklin and AgroVantage system.
Sure. Yep. And I really like how you talked about the P and K and nitrogen stabilization, because not only is there product involved, but there's also management decisions involved, and probably those management decisions are going to be equally as important and equally impactful on the operation of the farm and the profitability. And I know we've been hearing a lot over the past few years and the past 5, 6, 7 years, maybe longer, on the 4 R's. Would you explain the 4 R's and how these impact fertilizer applications and choices? And I know that has to do and with some of the aspects that you talked about just a couple of minutes ago in regard to phosphorus and potassium as well.
Sure. Yeah, Dan. So, the 4 R's, I wasn't around 30 years ago when the AgroVantage system started, but I know when I learned about the products and through my experience with the products, I know that every single one of these products, when it came time to develop them, the 4 R's were in mind, because it's all about nutrient stewardship to make the most efficient use, really whatever product, whether it's a product like Wex, to make sure that it's being applied the correct way, to make sure that it's being utilized in the correct manner. So the 4 R's, that comes from nutrient stewardship, and it's just a way for farmers to kind of remember the quick 4 rules, the 4 golden rules of agriculture to really lower that cost per bushel, to be more efficient farmers, but also be better stewards of the land that we're on. So the first one being is the right source. So we all talk about how there's different sources of nutrients, different sources of fertilizer. We talk about the different nitrogen sources. So there's good sources of nitrogen, and there's sources of nitrogen that aren't necessarily as good for the soil. The first that comes to mind is a product like anhydrous ammonia. So a lot of farmers might be using that, but is that necessarily the right source? Is that what really is going to keep the soil health in long-term stability and keep that healthy over time? Or are there better sources? Are there right sources like UAN and softer chemistry products that allow us to keep the heavy metals down in the soil? With the right source, specifically with P and K, there's other competitive starter fertilizer products out there that claim to be the same quality as Feast, and that's just not true. We can look at the analysis, and the heavy metals on some of those other products are way off the charts. Some of the other products aren't necessarily 100% orthophosphate. They're not necessarily using that food-grade phosphoric acid, so they might be getting a lot of heavy metals that aren't removed in the purification process that we do for all raw ingredients. So things like arsenic, cadmium, cobalt, and a lot of those heavy metals that are really detrimental to the soil microbial activity, but also over time can actually inhibit germination and that early crop growth. So there's definitely better sources. We think that our Feast products are one of the best. They're clean. They're definitely high efficient. Another thing in the second R would be using the right rate. So the way that we like to utilize this in the AgroVantage system is just by using soil tests to determine what you actually need and maximize your efficiency when you're going to your applications. So using a soil test to determine which micronutrients are limiting in your soil and only applying those rather than using a shotgun approach type product and broadcasting out micronutrients just based on what you've been doing in the past for a build program. So we really want to address what we need in that soil to hit those yield goals, and our soil testing system is really ideal for doing that. Another thing would be, and the third R that I'm going to cover is the right timing. So it's all about making sure that the products that you put out are going to be utilized by the plant at that right time. So, for instance, a lot of these nitrogen programs will be broadcasting and putting out nitrogen in the fall or in the winter when that necessarily isn't going to be utilized by the crop. We like to see more of those spring applied fertilizer applications, spring applied nitrogen applications to really get it to the plant when it needs, and not necessarily to feed the microbes and lose that nitrogen in the spring and over the fall. We really want to get that nitrogen out as close as we can to planting to make sure that it's being utilized by the plant. So we also look at right timing when it comes to foliar fertilizing, and the fact that all of our products are developed, the timings based on in-depth research, based on research that we've done in the field and with these products, to make sure that when you're foliar feeding a product like 8-16-11 or maybe adding an Intensify, that those products are getting into the plant at the time that they really need them the most. Another thing that we really get with the AgroVantage system that you might not with others is the right placement and the final R. The fact that with the dry broadcast fertilizer or other dry products, you don't have the same versatility you do with our liquid products with like Feast. You can't foliar feed a dry product. You can't use a starter fertilizer with a dry product. So it's all about using the right placement and utilizing that placement to really boost the efficiency of crop uptake. So we all know that the two most efficient ways for uptake of nutrients is going to be via starter fertilizer, getting that right there on the seed when that early seedling needs it, and then foliar feeding and addressing those in-season problems using a tissue test. It's all about getting that right placement to ensure the best efficient use of that product.
Yep, absolutely. And when you start to look at it, products have, as you just explained, better uses for different reasons, for different placements, for different situations. And one of the things that I think we need to be looking at, and 1034.0 is a great product, but it comes down to the placement aspect of it is one aspect. And while it is a good source and if your soil is calling for additional phosphoric needs, then we can use that. Maybe we band that with some 28, 30, or 32%, or use that type of an application to get some additional phosphorus out for the soil. But it's probably not, and let me rephrase that, it's not the best choice to be used in furrow. And because it was designed for side dressing applications, and we need to look at what the product is designed for before we use it, and use it where it's designed and intended to be used so that we can get the best use out of it. And thank you for going through that. And while the 4 R's really were not around and really were not talked about, as far as Isaiah said, when the AgroVantage system products were developed, it was that idea behind the products. We want to make certain that we are getting that first-year recoverability, that we're not putting nutrients out there that can become tied up by other aspects that are present in the soil so that they're become unavailable to the plant. We want to make certain that we've got nutrients that are readily available and getting that early uptake to get that crop off to a good start. I know that there have been growers that have seen some tremendous results with using the AgroVantage system. I can think of a couple of individuals offhand, as you mentioned, Jerry Cox, Isaiah. His overall farm averages for corn have increased by 100 bushels over I believe he's been using the AgroVantage system since about early 2000s. And so that's done wonders for him. I think of another individual by the name of Chris Miller down in Kentucky that has moved from one farm to another. And on both farms, he was able to take the organic matter. Initially, it was about a 1.5. And after 5-6 years, he was able to get that organic matter up to a 2.5, 2.6, and increase the production on that ground. Another individual or another application out in South Dakota, when we start to look at starter fertilizers and we think, well, it's just the same, it's just a little cheaper. Well, just because they have the same analysis, just because they're all clear, does not mean that they all perform the same. And in this particular instance and situation, they had done a rather large comparison on this farm, 1,500 acres with the Feast fertilizer and 1,500 acres with a competitive, same analysis, starter fertilizer. And what they found is with the Feast fertilizer, they were getting 6 to 8 additional bushels per acre. And so they were appreciative of being able to run that test, but now they know that there is that difference. So even though you may not be able to see a difference when you're using the product and applying the product, there will definitely be a difference in that yield. And we've just got a lot of history with that. So any final comments you would share with our listeners, Isaiah, before we open up the call to take any questions that our listeners may have?
No, I mean, when you were going over some of those cases, I think of Matt Rash. He had been farming his ground for quite some time, and I think he says he just wasn't quite reaching the potential that he thought he could. He found Conklin and he found the AgroVantage system, did some soil testing, and found out that he had a pretty severe boron deficiency, and that was limiting his yield. I think that first year, and this is all about using the right rates and the right placement, but I think that first year he used 9 pints, based on a soil test, 9 pints of our Feast complex boron. And that's really what it's about, is that he was able to identify, using our soil testing system, his limiting factor. And although 9 pints was a lot, it even that first year he saw a huge return on investment. And I think to this day he's still seeing a return from the boron that he's been applying through our system. So, I mean, that's really what it's all about. It's efficient uptake. It's efficient usage of the nutrients that we're going to put out there, and making sure that when you put it in the field, it's going to be used. So starter fertilizer is a great way to do that. But we need to make sure that we're treating those seedlings like they're babies, because they are. You need to baby them, and you need to make sure that when you're putting fertilizer on there, you're using a softer chemistry product that's not going to impact your end yield, that's not going to impact your standability. So products like a 31818 or a Feast 31818, that's got that low salt index and low heavy metals to really make sure that plant's got what it needs. But no, other than that, I'll open it up, Dan, to questions from the field. I think that's where we were at now.
All right. Well, thank you for that information. Thanks for sharing, Isaiah. And if you'll bear with me, I will open up the lines and we will take some questions from our listeners. Do any of our listeners have a question?
Yeah, I'd have a question.
All right.
I was just wondering if I'm talking to new farmers that aren't using this, what would be some golden nuggets to share with them to break the ice?
Well, and thank you for the question. Hopefully everybody heard it. Question was, what are some golden nuggets that can be used in talking with growers and farmers that would encourage them to utilize the AgroVantage system? And I may have added in a few additional words there, but to get some people to start. And I'll add a few comments here, and then Isaiah, if you have anything that you would like to add, please do so. To me, I think whenever we're talking with a new prospect, a new customer, I think we need to keep in mind that a lot of people are looking for that silver bullet, that one product that is going to cure all their ills and cure all the challenges and everything that's going on. And unfortunately, there is no such product. there are a lot of products that Conklin offers that will help, but we need to make certain that we know what the situation is, that we know what the challenges are, what the problems are, and like Isaiah explained in the example with Matt Rash, utilizing that soil test. I think we need to go in and look at getting that soil test to find out exactly where we're at, get to know that farmer, find out what that grower's goals are. Are they satisfied with where they're at? Are they looking to improve? What are they looking to improve? Are they willing to change management practices, or are they going to be doing things on the farm the way they've been done for the past 20, 30, 40 years? If they're not willing to change and adapt and grow and learn, that may not be the best situation to go in and talk with someone. I think there's products that can benefit everybody, absolutely. I think the products like the Amplify technology, the Guardian L technology, the Intensify technology, I think the Feast fertilizers, and truly believe the Feast fertilizers are going to enhance every operation to get the young plants and the seedlings off to a great start. But without that soil test, that's where we really need to start and really need to get a good quality soil test so that we can provide the best information available. Isaiah, anything you would add?
No, I definitely agree with you there, Dan. To your point, everybody's going to have a different golden nugget. It's about asking questions and doing the homework to find out what it is for them. So one of the ways to do that is by doing soil tests. That's a great way to identify, where that golden nugget is for them. Where can they make that most money with the lowest input? But another way to do it is just kind of asking them questions, figure out exactly what they want in their operation. Like you said, Dan, what are their goals? Are they wanting to build their organic matter over time? There's products like Syntos and Wex that will help you do that. Are they just wanting to strictly build yield? Are they wanting to see better stand out of their plants? There's products like Amplify that are going to help with that. It's really all about asking the questions. For instance, let's just say the guy is really having issues with herbicide kills, and he's not really getting the best results out of his herbicide. That's where you might want to point him towards a product like Wex that could be combined with his burn down herbicide to really kill those weeds in the spring and make sure he's got a prepared soil with little competition for those growing seedlings. It's really all about asking the questions to figure out what is that golden nugget for this guy, for this grower, because I think everybody's going to have a little bit different scenario.
Yep, I wholeheartedly agree. All right, does that answer your question?
That does. That's great.
All right. Is there another question? All right. Well, with that, I'd like to thank everyone for participating in our call and joining us today. Again, our next conference call will be on Tuesday, April 14th at 7 p.m. Central Time on this same bridge, and encourage you to look to eVision, look for eBlast, look for information coming out on VoiceLink in regard to what our next conference call subject will be. And Isaiah and I, and maybe an additional guest or two, might be available to talk about our next subject. So just want to encourage you. I know that right now there's, depending upon where you're at, maybe not a lot of activity going on in the field, but if you are currently having orders in place for Conklin's agricultural products, if you haven't got those released and shipped, just want to encourage you to do so that the growers and you and the farmers have the products that they need in time to go to the field when they're ready. And with that, everyone, again, thank you for your time. Thank you for your efforts, your contributions. And if you do not have a Conklin account set up, I would encourage you to get with the person that invited you to the Conklin conference call this evening. Talk with them. They're a great resource for you, and encourage you to look at and consider what the AgroVantage system has to offer for growers in this great land that we live in, the United States. With that, thank you, everyone. Have a great evening. Thanks, Isaiah.
Thank you, Dan. Have a good night, everyone.